The eyes of Texas are upon you.
Hey, this is the Texas 3-knife challenge. A while back, Josh Benware challenged me after Uncle Dan challenged him. And I've had to work through some things, but I'm finally going to get this done. Now, my 3 favorite knives, I really can't bring to you. One of those I lost in a house fire. That was from my grandfather. And it sounds silly, but it was his bait knife when I was a kid, and he passed away when I was 6. Some years later, in my teen years, our house burned and I lost that knife. And it was nothing special except that it was his. The second one of those 3 I got from my first employer, my first boss when I was a teenager. And he had carried that pocket knife through 3 tours in Vietnam. And one day he gave it to me. Really blown away. After leaving his employment and moving on to college, at some point one of the springs in the back of it broke. So it's packed away. I will find it one day. I've moved 3 or 4 times since then, but I have all the boxes from ever. So I will find it one day. And then the third one of those knives I actually do have, and this is not going to look like much, but it's this little old timer. There's not much to it, and the tip is broken off of it. But that knife came from my mother. She worked in a moving and storage business, and this was her knife to cut tape to open boxes and those kind of things. And this is one of the things that I have from when she passed away. One of these days I'm going to find somebody that can reprofile that tip, and I'll start carrying it around again. I'm hoping that, you know, at whatever point I'll pass it on to either one of my children and they'll understand the significance of it. Of the knives I do have and do have accessible right now, one of my all-time favorites is this Schrade SCHF 9. It's a beast. It's 1095 high carbon steel. It has a TPE, it's kind of a rubber TPE handle, and it's great for chopping. They've kind of built this finger choil in there where you can get up on it, so you can do things like feather sticking, those kind of things. There's a little bit of jimping here on the back, so if you're going to grab it here, I usually don't. I'll just go ahead and reach over the top, depending on what I'm doing. It's 1/4 of an inch thick, so it's a beast of a blade, and it's 6.4 inches long. Now, I'm not great at sharpening these recurves. If you could see it up close, there's some boo-boos on it from me trying to learn how to sharpen it. I can do it with a steel, I can do it with ceramic rods, but I can't find a stone that I can make this work with. But it is razor sharp, and if you need a real kind of SHTF knife, this thing will chop through branches like nobody's business. Like I said, if you get up on that choil, you can do some fine work. It's a nice knife, and the sheath is pretty good too. This is not about sheaths. This is about knives. So the next one on my list is a recent acquire. It was a gift to me. It's the Gerber Strong Arm. And this is a 420 high carbon steel. And this one is sharp, but with no boo-boos because of the belly of the knife here. The handle is a glass nylon. It's a type of plastic, right? Wrapped in rubber, which it's got really good feel on it. This is, again, another one of those kind of do-it-all knives. You can reach over the top. I wish it had a little bit of a choil here where you could get up on top of it, but it does pretty good this way. It's got a little glass breaker back here where the lanyard hole is. And it's about, I think it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe 3/16, like 0.19 inch thick. Again, it's razor sharp. I try to keep all my knives that way, but this has been a good one. And also it comes with a fairly cool sheath you can do all kinds of things with, whatever you want to do with it. And the third knife is one that I've had for many, many years. And it's not going to come to a surprise to anybody that's been watching my channel for any length of time. It's the old Buck 119 Special. This one I bought in 1986, like in the fall. Hunting season where I grew up was in November. And I had done some paper route stuff and just some odd jobs and picked up enough money to buy my first hunting knife. And this thing has been through it ever since. It just keeps on keeping on. The handle is a phenolic handle. The blade is 420 HC, and if I remember right, Buck tempers these to like 58 Rockwell hardness, whatever. It has not let me down. Now, it is not a full tang knife. The other two are. This one, I think, goes right in front of this end cap. But this thing has been a lifesaver many times. It'll get the job done. If you need to clean game, if you need to, I've actually batoned wood with it before. It's not as good for getting up and doing close work just because your finger is so far away from the cutting surface, but I have done that. Anyway, so those are the 3 knives I think right now that I have that I would consider to be my favorites. And next up on the list, the challenge is going to Preston Scott. So he's been making some waves about me not getting this done, so he's up, and I hope his 3 favorite knives are back from being fixed, because he broke them. Well, with help from his family, but they're all broken or have been broken. So, Preston Scott, you're up, buddy.